Hey guys, welcome back to Shredcraft RC. Thanks for tuning in. So, I posted this poll, and you guys voted, and I listened. Overwhelmingly, the D-Like LP86 was the clear winner, is what you guys wanted to see next for some Shredcraft content. So, we are gonna do the ultimate budget LP86. Numerous people messaged me and had suggested that this car's super fun, super simple, and I should use brushed electronics in it. Keep it kind of like that underpowered AE86 type of thing. I personally have never been a fan of the AE86, so I don't think I'll be doing that body, but I think one of those old Skyline 2000s could be a cool option. Kind of been a fan of that body style where it was like the Japanese look of a traditional American muscle car. And then maybe stepping up budget electronics. I've never really played in the realm of brushed motors for drift cars. I've only used brushless motors. So I have a set of stock electronics from a Tamiya TT02. Let me grab those. So it's the Tamiya torque tuned motor. I've run this in a TT02 kind of rally car. Never had a problem with it. It was fine. They're cheap. They come in the kit, so basically a free motor. And then their 1060, which is basically a hobby wing 1060 brushed ESC, simple, basic. Again, ran that in the TT02. I think I'm gonna start it in the LP86. And then we have our trusty AGF RC servo. This is the B44 BLS. These are very budget friendly. And then I have my V4 Yokomo gyro. And this has just been one of my favorite gyros. Just always like how this one feels, even compared to the AGF RC V3 gyro that I use and is now in the Hammer Ray. I think this is a good base setup. And then in the future, I think to upgrade brushed electronics, I want to go to the Hobby Wing G2 1080 and then one of the Tamiya sport tuned motors that are kind of like a higher end brushed motor, just to see what that feels like. I've heard they're really smooth compared to something like this, where this is a very basic budget brushed motor. There's no bearings or anything. It just seems to be brass bushings on the shaft there, and you can feel, you know, there's a little play. It's nothing fancy, but if I can get that to work. The pinion shaft does seem kind of short in the LP86 in the photos I've been looking at doing research. It looks like it might be a little wide, so I haven't even torn in the box. The seal is still there. I'm debating if I'm gonna build it on video, time-lapse it, or live stream it. I think maybe I'll do the build on a live stream, because I haven't done that yet, and I think people have been wanting to see like a full build video on the live stream, so I will do that. And then in this video, hopefully do like one of those finger snap things or something like that, and it will just appear here all in one piece. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Boom, you know, LP86. Let's do some body roll building, and hope you guys want to follow along. Stay tuned. And yeah, some of the other goals would be making chassis plates, the steering braces or the steering bars, maybe some other like custom battery tray, stuff like that. We'll have to see when we get in there, because I've only kind of looked at one at the track and didn't get a lot of time with it. So now I have one on my own. We'll get that going, show you what it looks like when we get it built. Cool. All right, something I do before I get started on any of these builds is I'll go ahead and I'll take these pieces, lay them on some notebook paper, and then trace them out. And that way in the future I'm able to have a quick reference to measure points. And again, this is just rough, kind of like a sketch, but it gives me the basic measurements I would need to get started, and then I can go cross-reference on the chassis itself with a set of calipers when I need to make sure precision is needed in some of these. For basic measurements, this gives me a great reference point to start with, and then I can cross-reference with calipers in the future. Just a quick tip there, and then I am gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Here is the LP86 from D-Like. Just built this on the live stream. We got all our subscribers tuned in, having a conversation here. I really wasn't sure how it was going to go, but had a lot more people joining us than I expected, so I'm really stoked on that. And yeah, capturing this clip, so say hi to yourselves in the future, guys. Yeah, kind of got the electronics going, got mounted up here. Wires are still a mess, but I will be cleaning that up soon. And yeah, just want to give everyone big thanks for tuning in on the live stream. Hope you guys enjoyed some of those clips of this thing driving around. And I gotta say, the LP86 is a blast. Even with these brushed electronics, the car still managed to kind of stay with the trains. I did have to use all my throttle input and basically have it pinned for half the lap to kind of maintain with the other drivers. It added a whole new challenge where on my RDX, where I feel like when I'm driving, I can just kind of huck it into a corner and feel confident that the car's not going to spin, and it kind of catches itself. When driving the LP86, when I was using that Yaris body, it rolled so much that I felt like the body was hitting the wheels and it was kind of spinning out in some of the corners. So if I was trying to get aggressive on my entries or diving up on someone, the body would almost roll a little too much, catch the wheel, and then spin the car out. But if I drove it softer, more in a realistic way, and kind of let the car roll and rotate, then it would kind of settle. You could almost feel the car kind of settle onto those foams that are under here and then ride the corner. Definitely not a brushless setup. So like I said, it's more a momentum game and keeping your speed up and driving a smooth line to stay with the faster drivers. And I'm not saying this should be compared to like a comp car setup or anything, but what I am gonna do to keep things on the budget side but still try a new setup is I ordered the Tamiya Superstock RZ motor, and that has brushes that you can change, adjustable bell timing, I believe. I'll be able to keep the same ESC and then have that upgraded brushed motor to see if I get a little more oomph out of it, a little more power throughout the power band, where this thing was basically full throttle when I was halfway through the trigger, and then not a lot of power after that. Just a small fix. And then I've started adding some bling parts. The ESC is unplugged right now because I'm going to change that motor out, and then a few bits of titanium hardware that I had in the spare parts box. That shock seemed to work in the rear. That's just a stock RDX shock with a spring on it. Gyro felt good. The responsiveness of everything else felt good. Servo felt good. One of the other things I'm gonna do that I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see, but I have these arms marked here, just so when the wheel goes to full lock, if it pushes, I feel like it almost touches the rim, and that may be a cause of spinning. You want your front wheels to always be spinning as freely as possible. So I'm gonna trim out these little areas, these recessed parts, and that's something I've seen people do with the upgraded carbon arms. So something to think about when I go in to design these parts is to have some recesses to allow the wheels to receive their full amount of travel and not get hindered by the arm and stop spinning. I'm probably going to go through, lube all the bearings after I drive it a little bit. Kind of want to break them in. They're not bad, but you can tell maybe there's some grease on the balls in there. And then I think adding some weight. I see people online, some of the Japanese guys who were testing this car, and they've added weights onto the front of the car just to kind of help keep the front end down. So I'm going to try to come up with a solution there. I'd added some larger magnets that I'll use on that new body I'm building. And then I built this rear battery mount that's kind of a centralized single magnet. And then I'll probably just use a washer on the body to stick there. And then other upgrades, I think doing the carbon chassis plate, just because this thing is flexy where it's not necessarily the shock absorbing, but this rear tail section is pretty loosey-goosey, flexible. Same thing with the front. I mean, you can almost fold the chassis. So I think maybe adding some rigidity there, and then possibly adding some sort of interesting type of weight, and put the weight where you want it in order to drive how you want the car to drive. Overall, extremely fun, very happy with it, and I can't wait to drive it some more, especially with maybe a little more oomph on that brushed motor. And then I also have some of those Tamiya M wheels that are a smaller diameter wheel with some Tamiya drift tires, I believe. So I think those could be fun outside. Put a little wheel on it and see what it looks like. So maybe I'll do that and throw some shots in. Right now, I'm excited to get this body built, get that 2000 Skyline GTR built. I'm not an AE86 fan, so I went with the Skyline body. I think having that old school look on here will be pretty cool. The other thing I forgot to mention is the foams. I did use different foams. Basically, it's like the foam that comes in the Gens Ace battery boxes, pads the batteries. I cut it up, but because that foam has somewhat of a memory, you can tell at the initial point when the foams contact the chassis plates, that now they're compressed and at kind of their relaxed state, and it added a lot more wobble. And that's something I see people kind of adding different dampeners or the Losi Mini B springs back here to offset it. But the one idea that really sparked my interest was a guy who was 3D printing with TPU, and he was bolting them across the bottom of the chassis, across all three plates, or across the two plates. Since it's TPU, it's a soft, flexible material, it allowed dampening as the body rolled, and then it would return to center because it has that compression and dampening factor. There's probably a better solution here, something along those lines of using silicone or rubber to dampen, but also let this chassis return back to center. And it does fine right now, but I think the more I run it, those foams will probably wear out, and then I'll need to come up with a different solution. Again, doing my research on the Facebook group and trying to find some other DIY kind of simple budget-friendly mods to do this thing. I'm going to continue on that body and show you guys what it looks like as that thing gets glued together and peel the protective layer. Let's get back to the body and see what that looks like. Cool. This is the Pandora RC Nissan Skyline HT 2000 GTR. So I think this will be a perfect option for the LP86, and I'm excited to throw some color on it, maybe a little flare, see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and get some masks cut and get this thing washed up, and I'll take you along the process. I'm realizing I haven't filmed any of my painting process. Once I get going, it's kind of hard to stop me. But I just peeled my masks. Figured I'd pull the camera out, see what this looks like. Still has the protective cover on it. I got the gold flake sponge bath, and then this cool iridescent blue with the new kind of simplistic Shredcraft SC. And of course the Wu-Tang. Put that on all my bodies. The last step, what I need to do here is I'm going to paint those gold, maybe with a little fade, we'll see. And then get everything peeled. I have the bumpers here, just some details. I'm finishing up the taillights over in my makeshift paint booth. But yeah, overall I am pretty pumped with how my Lowrider roof is coming out on the Skyline. Gonna keep the stickers very basic, probably just on the windows and maybe this windshield banner that I've made. And then I wanted to show you, before I glue magnets, what I do is I take just regular strips of vinyl. This is 3M wrap film. This is just a matte black, and what I'm going to do before I put the magnets in is I'm going to stick the vinyl down onto the paint, because the vinyl will have less adhesion to the paint than the E6000 and the magnets. Putting this vinyl down, then I'll glue to the vinyl, so if I need to remove the magnets in the future, I can peel the vinyl and it's not going to wreck the paint underneath. Another tip that I see a lot of people not doing, and I mentioned this in the painting videos that I did, and I'll link those up here. Paint the inside of your body black before you peel the window masks, because then the car will look more realistic looking through the windows on the glass. And I think sometimes when people just put the body color, then light can still shine through, especially when you peel the windows and then it lets light in. You can see through the body, or you can see the body color through the windows, and it's just something that kind of throws the scale detail off. And I'm not the most scale builder by any means, but I want it to look somewhat realistic. Black inside, putting the vinyl down before I glue the magnets, and then I repositioned the ESC on the LP here, because what I realized is the way your wires go through the body mount, if they're hitting at all, it's going to lean the body over. So I positioned this the battery cable to lay flat and not hit the body posts in the rear here. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. I'll switch over to the GoPro to show my sticker application process, and after that we'll get some beauty shots of this thing all finished up, and maybe even some shots of it sliding with the new body. Stay tuned, switch over to the next camera. I'm in the middle of the gluing process. This is a bit of a painstaking process because I'm doing it in sections here. So what I did originally was, maybe in the time lapse you can see, but I laid a bead of
E6000 all around the inside front edge of the body, and then I placed the grill and front bumper in there, and then just a couple little pieces of painting tape holding it on there. And while this begins to cure, I have the rear done as well, so that's setting. And then once that lower edge cures all the way, I'll go ahead and secure these edges nice and neatly along the body lines, glue it, retape it. So it's kind of a two-stage process. Same thing in the rear there. Light buckets are drying, and then I have some LEDs to go in here. But for now, letting glue dry. Next clip, I'll get the shot that everyone loves to see, but peeling this protective layer off. Kind of get a teaser there of the flake in the paint. So that sort of has the protective covering on it. That will ultimately reveal the full roof design. So I haven't even seen it since it's been covered up, but it's going to be exciting to reveal that. Coming up next. Alright, so I still got the bumpers being cured, so there's still tape on there, but I know everyone loves to see this part. I'm going to go ahead and start peeling this. Now this is always one of those ooh-ah moments when you get to see how the paint laid. Man, that flake with that blue looks awesome. There's a few powdered mist there, probably from when I laid the black down. Got a mist. Get this side out. Really happy with how that blue turned out. And damn, that roof. Kind of the opposite of ASMR with Lexan scratching. Save the roof for a different camera angle. Show you what it looks like. And then let me change this camera angle up and I'll show you the roof reveal. So here's what it looks like with the protective covering on it. And let's go ahead and remove that. Wow, that is something. Pretty happy with how that turned out. A couple little errors, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it looks like maybe the paint was a little wet in that corner, but the shadows look pretty good. Definitely could do better. It's my first time trying drop shadows with an airbrush. And then gold sponge on the roof with a black fill-in. Let me pull this off the tripod and I'll show you some beauties. Looking pretty sweet. Look what just showed up. This is the Tamiya Superstock RZ motor. And that is one pretty can for a brushed motor. So this is fully rebuildable. I believe this is in comparison to a 21 turn. I could be wrong there, but I may have to check. But people say that this has a significant boost in performance over that stock torque-tuned motor. Quick, easy install. And then the light kit also showed up. This is just your standard cheap Amazon LED kit, I believe. This was $7 or something like that shit. So super affordable. This motor was like $30. Still really affordable in the grand sense of RC drift electronics. So I'm excited to get this posted up and get this new body mounted. Alright, so this process is taking a little longer than I was expecting for the video. I'm gonna have to trim out some of the underlip here to clear the front of the bumper, and I may trim the ears off that bumper. We'll see. I've been working on light buckets for the past couple hours, and I got the harness here plugged in, labeled, and then I made these just a simple setup that will go right in there. And yeah, I'll show you guys what it looks like when the glue dries. Alright, so the glue is finally dry enough, and I kind of taped up this harness
to get an idea of where these lights are going to go, figuring out how I'm going to run this harness inside the body. Overall, pretty happy. Coming along, glue's dry, can keep working on it, possibly go get some beauty shots for you guys. Got the lights kind of cleaned up on the harness here, and I want to show you, hooked up a trigger. This is just a switch running to the harness. So then on my remote, I can turn the lights on and off. Pretty cool. I don't really ever put lights in my RC drift cars, but I think for this one it seems appropriate. I'm gonna go ahead, keep cleaning up some of this stuff, and then check the mounting, and it's time for some beauty shots. So there it is, guys, the start to a new build series here on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what we can turn this LP86 into, make some parts for it. So I think coming up in the series, that's what I want to do next, is get all those pieces that I had traced earlier into the computer, have everything measured and cross-referenced, and then share with you guys kind of some of my design process and how I make some of the parts that I make and why I make them. So I think that's going to be kind of an interesting part to the series. And then now with Senket Sun, I can upload files, and then you guys can purchase my files straight from them and make your parts in whatever material that you want. So I think that might be something interesting to offer, especially for this chassis where I see a lot of people doing DIY mods and stuff like that. So maybe if we have a series of parts that we could make together here on the channel, make those available for the community to purchase straight from them. So I think that will be a fun part of the video. Coming up also, driving this thing just to see how much this body rocks and rolls. And a bunch of other people at the track are also finishing up their builds, and we'll be able to get a whole bunch of LP86s out on track together. So that's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and kind of some of the initial shots. And if you didn't, make sure you check out the live stream where we build the entire chassis from the box to the rolling chassis. Now we got the body ready to hit the track. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe for more awesome RC content from Shredcraft. Hit that thumbs up button to help me out on this one. Like, comment, let me know what you think. If you guys are also building LP86s, make sure you let me know. We can get a little group chat going about how to improve these cool, simple little pan chassis drift cars. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.